as I said, I'm going to do a little video on doing a Pro 600, and to preface this, I have a Devon Vanderhoof HCR engine harness, which is absolutely dope. It's the best Holley harness you should buy. It has a different connector for the coil packs. Let me see if I have. So I got a good deal on a Pro 600, and I bought the Pro 600 harnesses and some brand new coils. That is a factory little LS coil plug. What I didn't realize, so he runs, these are a MetroPack 480 150. These have the same, the 150 pins are the same out of this. I cut them first when I could have just depinned them and shoved them in here. And after looking at harnesses and paperwork and doodling and creating a pinout off his harness and what a factory one did, that's probably not for the novice guy. He does sell his harness for a Pro 600, which might have been easier to just buy, but I did not. Anyway, I didn't want to rewire my whole car. Mounted that, used some transfer punches to mount that to my sweet battery box I made. Got some heat shrink. Trying to do this nice. I will label these H and number 8 or whatever they are. And to do that, I use a little label maker. Well, that's like really lazy. And then I use clear heat shrink. So I got myself one of these. And then I print a little label, and then I clear heat shrink it, and it works pretty good. So I'm not like a really great wiring person, but I do like wiring. Someday, you know, I'm going to rewire that and make that look nice. It's just hard when you start adding stuff and, you know, you don't wire race cars every day. So the hope was to leave the smart coil harness in here and then plug in, plug out, and I've got a new mount coming to mount all my coils. I labeled these, took this all apart, and then realized you need a special bracket here for these guys. The bolt pattern is the same, but this cannot clear, it doesn't clear the shape of the coil. So anyway, just buy a new mount, and then I can just unbolt that, and it's not really that hard to do. So to unbolt that coil and then cut the harness in and out, plug it in. The only thing it has is cylinder head grounds, which is fine. I'll just probably label that, and then my grounds for these coils, I'll make a little baby harness to ground each coil and go to the same cylinder head ground. So that should be pretty straightforward. My plan is to use the same tune and just have the extra added for the smart coil ICF stuff, the input output stuff, and I should be able to have relative data and look at the differences. So I'll let you know what we do, but I have a feeling it's going to get rid of all that misfire. I'm going to pick up a bunch, so we'll see. All right, let's let that thing focus if it can. H8, so there's cylinder number 8. That'll do. Did my best to stagger them. Then I got a little coil harness, or ground harness, I'm sorry. It's a 10 gauge, 14 gauge, 10 gauge. And that'll go right on where my cylinder head ground was. I've just been in here cutting zip ties. Anyway. Yeah. So we'll try to lay out these coils when the bracket gets here, kind of get this stuff all routed, zip tied in, and start working my way to that side. Just got one more coil harness to do. If you guys solder, I totally recommend a little station like this, but this, if you guys struggle with soldering, this is literally the best solder that I've ever used in my career. And they have different thicknesses. So, but that's good for thick stuff, and got a couple other sizes. But if you guys struggle, it's probably because you're using shitty solder. Just a little PSA. All right, I'm getting this Pro 600 mounted. I went shopping for coil brackets. Let me show you guys. So there's my smart coils. This is a Motion Raceworks mount, and love their stuff. So I bought their Pro 600 mount. Well, it works with these older style Pro 600 coils. These new ones have a mounting situation on them to mount to a flat surface. So when you try to put these on, this is going to be tricky to do here. Stand by. I'm back. So I use these spacers out of the Pro 600 kit, but when you go to put this on, I'm not knocking the boys at Motion Racework or Doug Cook or anybody, because they make great stuff, right? But that doesn't work that way. Okay. So hang on. All right, so we flip this thing, which is fine. And you flip this guy. But when you go to put this on, that hits right there. So my solution is just going to cut on this, put a little notch in there. Wanted to pause so that this will be clearanced for this mounting base, and then it should go on. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough space so this bracket has no chance of touching any of my wires. And this should still all bolt up. So all I had to do was use these two spacers, and this little spacer that's included is the same width as this. So this still should all bolt together. So love the guys at Motion Raceworks. Yeah, I wish I knew this, but we got a race to go to, so we're just going to modify this. Not a big deal. And then this should work. So not talking shit, but if anyone else is in this spot, this is still doable, because we got a race to go to. So we're making this work, and we want Motion Raceworks stuff on our car. So thanks, Doug, for everything you guys do. I'm sure you guys will come up with a solution for this. See ya. I haven't test fit this, so I should have put this in my little camera holder here, so I can, if anyone's put these together, you really need two hands. All right. I don't know if that's going to work either. I would have to bring my wiring. Yeah. Back to the drawing board. Okay. I'll figure this out. Yeah, I don't want to have to bring my wire across there or bring it down goofy. I could if I had to, like loop the wiring around and feed it this way. But I think there's a better way to do this, so let me figure this out. So don't cut your bracket. What we're going to do is we transfer punch 2 holes here. So that thing will sit flush. And then we'll maybe use some of this mounting hardware or find some different bolts or whatever. And yeah, I think that'll be better. So maybe all this bracket needs is 2 holes. So we're going to try that. So don't be an idiot and cut your clamp. But I'm trying things. So got racing to do. All right, so there's my bracket. I don't know. I had to notch it for this tube, and it's just not very thick. But it is flat. We'll try this. Hang on. Now, see that mounting hole and that ear? Like, that wouldn't be a bad way to firm this thing up if there was no gap, and you could just mount that bracket to the base of that coil with another set of holes. But that should, in theory, get it done. I'm going to test fit this. If I'm worried about this bracket strength, because it's aluminum and because it's got a lot to do now, I might just go over to my buddy Tyler's and see if we can't plasma something out. He's just my neighbor. But I'm gonna mount this together, so let's see. And see how this is bent. This is nice and rigid. It uses these spacer bolts. Gabe's little modification. It's just, I'm not even pushing on that hard. But the problem is this. Get this thing so we can see a little better here. So my hope was this, but it just lands you right over this terminal. And like, could that work? Yeah. Is it ghetto? Yeah, so's that. But it would just be nice to have something to help hold those. Maybe even a mounting plate that would just bolt onto this bracket with them spaced. I don't know. But I just don't see a way, to do this. Like, even if you, like I said, even if you could swing this, you'd still have to hog on that. Even if you could swing this, you'd still have to hog on this thing. And throwing it in this spacer profile's definitely the strongest way. And you'd have to cut that thing like that. And then kick your hole way out to feel comfortable about spacing that. So that doesn't work. But maybe I could get in here and cut this. Put your way into the bolt hole. That would actually be okay. Like, I would be comfortable slicing that. Get rid of my boogered edge. Doing something like that. And kicking that way out. So that's an idea too. We'll see what I come up with. Alright, so you see all the problems with this bracket. So like I said, I modified that. But that aluminum is really flimsy. It's making me nervous. So I called my buddy Tyler, who literally lives 2 houses down, begged him to, didn't really have to beg him, but he broke away from making his beautiful transfer cases, and we gave this bracket my bolt holes, add a little meat, and then we swung this. So the hope is that I'll just have to lop the corner of this off, and that should bolt down. Thanks, Tyler. If you want any of these, or you want him to make anything, he can laser these. These are made out of scrap, so that's just some preference. I'm going to try this out, but he can laser these, get these lasered, make them out of whatever. So this is just a little thicker than 1/8, and I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, they're a little heavy, but I don't have to worry about that breaking off, hanging the weight of the coils off of them. So see, bracket says 2 holes, like the 2 holes I put in this. Just lopped the ear of that off, and that's so compact. See, that really sticks out pretty far, probably 1 inch from the top of the tube. This, incorporating this in there is the right idea. That's why we got an innovation. And then this thing can mount really similarly to how my old coil pack was, which I like. See, the other one like sticks out, and it's going to be probably a mess getting the valve cover off. This, I can kind of stand this thing up here, get it close to the tube, but not. I got access to bring the wiring underneath. That's where I want to be. Okay, finishing this up. So all I got to do is hook that up. Zoom out. And I got a tune made. My wiring in there sucks, but it is what it is. With the mess. So if I want to put my smart coils back on, unplug my harness here, and I should just be able to bolt my whole smart coil assembly in there. Got my custom spark plug wire spacers. And I got a spare bracket made. All the adjustment holes. So we'll see if I geez. If I run into having problems removing the valve cover, like I said, I could just space out for these holes and mount this thing lower, but I still got plenty of room from the fender. So I think that's a good spot for them. They're up away from the turbos. My spark plug wires still reach. So I wish I had a little more room. I wish I could kick those up a little more, but I probably need a different bracket for that. Something that moved these distances closer, kind of pitch that thing. Tried to roll it some, but there's just not a really good way to stand that up, at least that I could figure. But I can flip it, like I said, mount it here, but I'm worried it'll stick too far in and encroach into valve covers, and that even looks tight. So well, let's see how it works. It's part of race engineering. This is why race car stuff takes so long, because you got to make sure you can take this stuff apart and that everything works right. It's part of service and stuff. So I got a little bit of stuff to do to get ready for the race next weekend. But part of this is going to be putting this on the chip, getting it to spool, testing the smart coils, making sure I don't have any misfires or error codes. And then I need to put new plugs in it, which I might do at the race track after I warm it up. But yeah, I just got to make sure everything's in my trailer that I needed after the shakedown last weekend. And this should be a pretty big upgrade. I think it's going to run hard. So 3s or bust, man. Let's get it. Thanks for following along. Fired this thing up and I goofed up. I pinned one of the connectors backwards. So I drew my pictures from staring at the back of the other connector. So I did it late at night, tired. Of course, the first one I did was fine. When I came back and did the second one, yeah. Anyway, big old bang when I started it up. But first impressions of the Pro 600 setup, it is idling better. Seems to be nice and smooth. And AFR is cleaner. So I'm going to see what this does. Yeah, with this little spool test. So I'll let you guys see too. One of the things is transmission was puking out the vent, and someone told me that maybe it was due to the hole that we drilled in the forward drum. So pulled this, tapped that, plugged that vent, and then I just got it refilled. When I fired it up to refill it, that's when I heard the lifter. Well, I just had to pull the intake manifold. I heard a ruckus. It either broke the pin. I'm guessing it broke the pin. So, yanked the intake and banged the lifter in there. So, pulled that apart and buttoned it back up. So, ready to, got my custom sock here too to catch. That's never puked, but it puked. That's my transmission vent. And yeah, Pro 600 on there, spool test. Let's look at some data. All right, we got spool test number 1. Spooled in 4.3 seconds. There, that's a little easier to read. We'll zoom in here. Okay. So 4.3 seconds. 4.22 seconds to get to the chip, making 19 pounds of boost. Okay, then I went in and added some fuel. And made it to the chip in 2.8 seconds, so that's more like it. So, I mean, that seems really happy, but it was really fat. So what we're gonna do is, I'm messing with some tip in here, but I'm gonna try to lean it out down low and add some fuel up high and kind of split the difference here. So I think it needs to be a little leaned up here. So 3.45 AFR. So I'm messing with some stuff on tip in, and we'll see. Sorry the video is so all over the place. It is Wednesday night. I just loaded the car. We're going down to Reading, April Cool Nights, race number 1 with the West Coast Outlaws. So I'm going to get to test this thing right off the trailer. So same tune, stay tuned for the race recap. Hopefully I kick some ass and we go personal bests all weekend. I did have to get in there. I adjusted the band on the tranny and up the pressure a little bit, the line pressure. It's missing some line pressure. I don't really know why. Tranny just got a 2-speed conversion, a new valve body, a new billet center support. Kind of pulled the valve body out. I looked at everything. I can't figure out why I got a leak. Or I'm down, not a leak. I'm missing some pressure, like 30 pounds. So I cranked the billet ATI pump up half a turn. I didn't get much pressure increase. So maybe it's all the hole in the forward drum. I don't know. The vents moved. It's not over full. I thought it was over full when it was puking at Woodburn, but it wasn't. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So that was all Sunday. So when I fired it up after doing the transmission adjustments, it ate the lifter. Anyway, yeah, hopefully we go kick some ass. I think the thing's going to be a little fat up top, but we'll see. That ignition system should burn everything. And yeah, let's hope we just go fast every pass. And I think if we do that and the car works right and I've got everything I need to fix it, we're just going to go fucking rounds. We're going to go the finals. And there's some fast dudes, so I'm not saying that lightly, but I think we're going to have a hot rod. Thank you guys for following along. Next video, Pro 600 data check. All right, smash that like button and subscribe.